What's up? Welcome in. It is not a Victory Monday, but it's still Monday. It is the CHGO Bears Podcast, presented by PointsBet. Use code CHGO to live your bet life and get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. What's going on, Bears fans? Quick night. We got the coffee rolling.
Hells yes.
We watched the tape.
Hells
We're ready
no.
to break it down. Adam Hoge, Mark Carman, Corey Wootton back with us today. And right off the top, let's just spin it forward. It's a new week. It's week 3. Texans coming to town. Tailgate.
Tailgate.
Is what, 6 days away?
Yep.
The tailgate now at this point. Looking forward to this, guys. This is a big event for us at CHGO. The first of many coming your way. A lot of work's been put into it, and it is the best deal you are going to get on an NFL game day pretty much anywhere, I would tell you. $34, all you can eat, food and drinks. Corner of Michigan and Roosevelt. It's a great location. If you're driving, you can get the package that includes parking. Walk over to the stadium. If you're taking public transportation, we're right there, right off the Roosevelt stop. Carm lives right there, so he'll host the after party.
You get down there at 7 a.m. and you hit me up on Twitter. I will make you scrambled eggs. It's one of my fortes.
Oh my
Wow. I mean, let's go.
Did Braggs really get you motivated yesterday with all the cooking he did?
Oh my God!
Shout out Greg Braggs for the cooking.
So good.
And taking us to another level. But I got to say to our guy out there, horrendous job in wrapping up the food. I
didn't notice that.
I mean,
was that him, though?
I assume it was. He left the bag. If it wasn't, he's got to take care of his own food. Left the bag open. It's breathing in the fridge. I mean,
I saw that.
I mean, what is this?
In his defense,
I'll say this: we don't exactly have the most amount of kitchen needs in our kitchen. You know, there's no Ziploc bags or any containers of any sort.
I think he was just so bummed about the game. He was on Twitter having his reaction on the way home in the rain, and
that looked really sad.
Yeah,
actually.
it did. It looked like an R&B video. He was very sad.
He didn't stop talking. How many videos did he do? God bless the guy. Look, so guys, let's stay positive. Look, get up and lay bricks and don't worry about it, Bears. Okay, let's talk about the quarterback. I don't want to hear anything negative about the quarterback. The quarterback's great.
Don't take off from work, right?
And by the way, get your ass to work. I swear it was just a
And this is after a 2-hour postgame show.
Exactly. He probably didn't go to bed till about 4 last night.
Oh,
probably
man.
didn't. And he woke up probably at 6.
Guys,
so shout out to you, Braggs.
No,
You're
I'm
MVP.
I was pushing 3, by the way. Yeah. By the time I got home. And
Yeah, I was about a little after 2.
Wait, I have something to talk about, and I should have taken a picture of it. I got home last night, and there was a freaking cheese head in my kitchen.
What?
Yeah.
Did wife Krista leave you a cheesehead?
I believe it was the Wisconsin grandparents. And we have to have a serious discussion here.
Taunted your ass.
I mean,
That's good work right there.
I
Tip
walk
of the cap.
in at 2 a.m. after a hard-working day and the Bears lose, and it's sitting right damn there on the kitchen island.
But you didn't get a pic of this?
I may have. At that point, I was half asleep.
That's social gold.
You sure there wasn't a picture of Aaron Rodgers doing the discount double check too?
One curd?
I did not take a picture. I think I was so embarrassed by it I didn't take a picture. Yeah, it was. We gotta do it. We gotta launch an investigation into what happened there. That's unacceptable.
For the record, I went home and watched the first 20 minutes of Fatal Attraction. That's what I was. I didn't want any more football. Then I'm watching it.
I don't think you should have said that out loud.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and then I'm watching Close get really creepy with Douglas, and I'm like, I gotta go NFL Network. Give me 5 minutes of NFL Network before I go to call it a night. That was my night.
All right. It is Monday. We got a lot of film to break down and lots of things to talk about. But Monday segment, guys.
Oh,
wow!
It's time for Monday loafs.
Oh man,
we could technically do this win or lose since apparently they handed out loafs all last week despite getting the win. But hey, sponsorship opportunity here for anybody too. Any bread companies out there?
I would turn that around for today because
we want to go. Want to go Wonder Bread? Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
but yeah.
I'm
sorry,
Brownberry.
guys. I got to hand a couple out to Roquan Smith.
Yeah.
You said last night And it kind of caught me off guard when you said it, that might be his worst game in the NFL. And then, but when you said it, my brain started to spin. I'm like, yeah, I'm struggling to think of a worse one. And then when I went this morning and went through it, granted, it's just a TV copy because the All-22 is not available yet, but I don't even think you need the All-22. It was just bad. It was definitely his worst game in the NFL.
You talk about lows, too. That's the big thing that stood out, right? You look at Roquan. He's usually flying all over the field. That Georgia SEC speed.
He looks slow.
He looks very slow last night, right? And I think, honestly, he was thinking too much. I think he's out of position at the outside. He's more of a middle linebacker, and I told you that. He got outflanked a bunch of times, right, just based off his alignment. And that's a key thing in this league. If you're not able to get your alignment and your thinking, you're going to play slow, and that was evident in that game.
For the one person in the chat, and I'll call myself out, who doesn't understand what outflanked means, can you break that down?
Yeah, so in the defense, right, one person every play has contained, right? There was a couple times we were talking about where Roquan Smith has contained, right? He's the outside backer. There's a tight end to his side. There's a 5 technique as well. And he's supposed to be covering that tight end either man-to-man or in the zone, and then he has the edge of the defense. And there was a bunch of times where he got outflanked there. He didn't have the edge of the defense. So that was.
You're saying he was lining up too far inside.
He was lining up too far inside, and I think.
Here, hand me this, because they could put the ISO shot on the board.
Nobody can beat him to the sidelines. Bottom line.
So in that right there, we have a formation where we have a tight end, we have a 5 technique inside the tight end. Roquan Smith is the R there, and his alignment was pretty much directly behind the defensive end right there, right? He's got to be a little bit outside there. He's got to be outside that tight end.
He should be farther out here.
Yeah, he should be outside the tight end there because
he's just making this block too easy when you're that far inside.
So a tight end on him, once he gets that edge block and he just pins him inside, because that was classic all day with Roquan Smith. He kept getting pinned inside, and there was no edge of the defense. So Aaron Jones and company, they're getting hit at 10 yards past the line of scrimmage. You cannot win with that all day. So Roquan should have been up there maybe for a 2-yard gain, a yard gain, but that's why they were able to go off on him in the running game.
I'm assuming that everything you're saying is spot on, that he's whatever, learning a new defense, adjusting to his new role. But I also do want to throw in there with Roquan, when you do what the Bears did with Roquan in the offseason, and you put him in this situation, I do wonder, I was wondering at the time, is this going to impact him mentally as he goes through the year, knowing that, yes, I got to put my best foot forward to get paid, but also a little, could there be a little bit of bitterness lingering with Roquan towards the Bears? I'm not saying that's what's going on, but I think that's, to me, that's a possibility.
He has to fight through that, man.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to get paid, you got to fight through that.
And I think a big thing, right, he missed a lot of training camp, right? He might not be in shape. And to be honest, last week against the 49ers, right, with the way the elements were and whatnot, we didn't really need speed last week, right? So
that's a good point.
In a even playing surface this week, I think he's a little bit out of shape from not doing a full offseason, and especially during training camp. The only way to get in shape is to play. You can't be on the sideline doing the bike. That doesn't get you in shape.
And Jared Perry, we're not making excuses for him at all, right? There's no excuses. And by the way, Hendricks, I'm seeing you in the chat a bunch here, and you're on fire with your comments already. Knocked out like 5 in a row. So this is not no one's. I mean, Hoge, you're calling him out. There's no excuses.
I'm just stunned that he played that poorly.
Yeah,
like that was He's one of those special players that when he has a bad game, it's still like an okay game. It's not a Roquan game. Yeah. The same way they're probably talking about Aaron Rodgers. Or Aaron Rodgers was talking about himself last night. Aaron was like, I didn't play that well. His passer rating was still 131.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like it was a bad game for Aaron. It was still a game that if you're a Bears fan, you would take from your quarterback every day, every week of the season.
He looked like Aaron Rodgers to me.
When you're that special of a player, that's what was so concerning. And I do wonder, I mean, I'm going to give it at least another week.
Yeah.
But I do wonder if there's, at least if it's not him being out of shape, it's him being hesitant because he's not comfortable in his position.
I think that's part of it. But like when I say out of shape, I don't mean like he came overweight to training camp or, he's weighing more than he usually did. It's just cardio, conditioning. That's
football
what I'm getting
shape.
at.
And he didn't play in the preseason.
Exactly. So that's the big point. A lot of guys, it's tough to not play out there in the preseason, not go through all the practices, and get in playing shape.
Look at Dan Levy said.
Right.
Flank.
And before that, he's in there talking his nonsense. So how did you season a flank steak the same as you season a ribeye?
You got to do your Dan Levy voice.
Well, Levy was over on Friday for a barbecue. Hey, I'll be there on time, buddy. And he was. and he sure, I'll take care of the salmon. You got it, buddy. You got any spices? Then he hooked up the salmon. I'm going to call Levy out, though.
Yeah.
I love him to the end of the earth, and it took him 4 hours to get out of the city, and he drove people home like Bears reporter Mark Grody that he didn't need to do because he's a great man.
Wow.
But Levy flat out he burnt the burgers.
Charborough.
It was a new grill for him.
We're gonna give Levy a loaf.
Levy loafed. I mean, it was just
two of those. You can't burn a burger. Come on, man.
I mean, we had 4 great burgers, and Levy smoked. I mean, I think they just must.
The only way to burn a burger is to fall asleep.
The dude well done that stuff. Maybe that's what they do in the Levy household. But, at Carman barbecues, we like these things medium.
Exactly. At
least,
least,
come on.
right?
At least
At
I go
least.
medium rare.
Come on.
Come on.
I mean, it's nice of you to let guests just do your work for you, though, on your own barbecue.
Oh, now Lawrence, of course, with the
Speaking of
over the top
loafing.
Carm is lazy. I just don't know what I'm doing.
There's a difference.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would be happy to do it, and I could have done it, but I was trying to upgrade the barbecue for everybody, and it just didn't work out.
All right. You guys got loaves to hand out at all?
Listen, my loaf right now is for Luke Getsy and the Bears in what's important. Floos, you're in this too. I read one of his comments today. We stuck with what was working.
What?
Well, in the third quarter maybe, but
Right.
there was a whole other quarter that happened in between there.
Right. Listen, you can't put the quarterback in front of the team. You're trying to win games, but you do have to have your cake and eat it here too.
Exactly.
There can be no other games the rest of the way where it looked like it looks with Justin Fields throwing 11 passes. I mean, that is just. I mean, we're going, and Brad Biggs did a great job today in the Tribune, just underlining it. You got to go back to 2003 and Cordell Stewart through 2 games for a Bears player to have worse numbers at QB.
Slash. Oh, my God.
I mean, think about that. That is.
He could punt though, which was cool though.
You can do everything, man.
191 represents the fewest passing yards for Bears for through 2 games since Cordell Stewart totaled 240, which, by the way, is a lot more than 191. The next lowest total was 1993, 261 for Jim Harbaugh. The Bears,
it's just bad if you're breaking Bears quarterbacks records in a negative way,
Nothing to
because
be-
those are already awful records.
The Bears haven't had a game where the quarterback completed only 7 passes since October 22, 2017, and now we're back into Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, doesn't get good.
Which, by the way, it feels a little Trubisky-esque right now with the conversation around the QB right now.
So, Carm, you said Getsy or Eberflus said we stuck with what was working.
Eberflus.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just break this down real quick. What was working, right? That first drive, that was great play calling by Getsy, right? Talk about scripting up, a lot of 2 tight end sets. Blasingame, the fullback, was out there, a road grader, creating that edge.
He had a good game
for David Montgomery. Mm-hmm. And then just the play calling, right? The great play action pass to St. Brown, right? And then all of a sudden the play on the goal line to Rashawn Gary, the boot to him. Justin Fields, one-on-one on him. He gets in the end zone. Great play calling. Then why all of a sudden are we doing gun run? That's what I'm confused about. We were playing smash mouth football. That's the identity of this team. We drove it down their throats, and then the next drive we go gun run, right? And at times Montgomery was able to get it going, but still that was what was working, right? They were struggling with 2 tight ends and a fullback in there, but then you go to gun run. That doesn't make any sense right there.
And when you continue going from there, you kind of can extrapolate that all the way to 4th and goal at the 1-inch line, and we're gonna be in the shotgun. You don't have to outsmart yourself here.
Yeah, that's exactly what somebody said in the comment. I feel like he outsmarted himself, right?
Yeah.
You're all of a sudden thinking, oh, let me try to get cute with this and that. Do what's working, right? And then the ebbs and the flows of the game, then it would have opened up the pass.
And if we want to get really nervous about this, I'm sorry, but do you think Luke Getsy wanted to win that game last night? Like, in the worst absolute way, go back and beat your former team? Wouldn't you be the most motivated ever? And I'm not saying that he had a great time in Green Bay. He was there for 7 years. I'm sure he has a lot of respect for that franchise, putting him in the position that he was in. But wanted to win it really, 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 really bad.
You know who really, really, really wanted to show it to his old team? Pat O'Donnell punting the ball. I've never seen Pat O'Donnell punt a ball like that.
He was booming that thing.
He hit that from his own 15-yard line into the end zone.
I was just rewatching before we
started.
That
was hilarious.
Yeah, I'm like, holy motivated Pat O'Donnell. I miss you, by the way, and we're doing great with Mr. Gill, but I miss Pat O'Donnell. I love Pat O'Donnell.
That was hilarious. Like,
Yeah.
I've never seen him boom a ball like that.
Yeah.
He just totally bombed it out of the end zone.
But my point is that, like, the dude really, really, really wants to win the game. Well, if I really, really, really want to win, you're going to throw the ball 11 times because I don't trust you, but I trust our run game.
But I feel like this is a classic thing throughout the league. Offensive coordinators, they try to get too cute, right? The defense is giving you this, take it. And then all of a sudden you make adjustments off it. But he tried to go on a different tangent. Yeah. And that's what happens all the time in the league. You look at Kyle Shanahan in that first game, right? What was working in the first half, he got away from in the second half because he tried to get too cute. The thing is, you have to do what the defense is giving you, and then you react off that.
Don't. To your point, too many of them try to get ahead when it's really just don't switch things up until you have to. Make them stop it first,
exactly,
and then make that adjustment. That drives me crazy when it's like, that's working, but let's also throw this out there now too. It's like, no, just keep doing what's working. You have a fullback who's running dudes over.
Yeah.
For me, granted, this isn't done yet, but David Montgomery is my highest graded offensive player, probably overall, too, offense, defense, special teams, whatever. And then Blossingame was next.
Yeah.
Like, I think those were your two best offensive players last night.
And they didn't give him enough snaps, honestly.
Right. Actually, I want to look that up right now. I will. Go ahead. I'll check out the snap count because I bet you, like, if I had to guess, I'm thinking he was on the field for 35% of the plays.
Exactly. And he should have been at 60.
See, but
you know?
I get
32% of the plays.
Exactly. So
right there, 13 snaps.
That's the problem right there.
Yeah.
When you have a killer at fullback, that is so hard to defend.
I'll bet you if you go back and look at the 13 snaps, Blossingame was on there, and then maybe I'll do this later today when I have some time. I'll bet you their yards per play was
insane
close
with
to
him.
10, maybe.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
At least 8.
So I get twisted around on this, though, right? This is a passing league. You have to be able to throw the football. If we're just going to try and win games, and then all of a sudden we're starting to become the Baltimore Ravens, that's a huge pivot. That's a totally different philosophy. And maybe that's the best philosophy. I think it is the best philosophy for them to win right now. But if the goal, which I know the goal is to win the Super Bowl someday, then I'm just not sure if that's the right way to do it.
The biggest thing I'm saying is I feel like the two tight ends, one tight end, and a fullback, that's when this offense really thrives. And you look at their best plays, right? Even the passing wise, the play actions, the flea flicker, this, that, and the other. It's set off that run, right? This offense thrives when the run's going because then it sets everything else. Talk about eyes in the backfield. That's a big thing. When you get the run game going, it buys the defender's eyes, and then all of a sudden you're able to take shots. So, I understand how we have to pass the ball, but I think in those formations we can pass the ball, and it's going to help the O-line a lot better, right? If you're in two tight ends, it's easier to disguise that pass, right? It's going to be a lot more play action. It's going to be tough for these defensive ends to get pressure in those situations.
Wait, real quick. Can I bring up this comment from John? He says, no other franchise does this. Well, no other good franchise. I'm over here thinking, like, why the hell do we have to run two tight ends and a fullback? Like, it's 2022. What are we doing? You have Justin Fields. Like, let's spread the shit out and let's go.
Yeah, but we just lived through that with the Matt Nagy era.
Exactly.
I disagree with that comment. I mean, I think you look at if that's what he's talking about. The San Francisco 49ers have one of the best fullbacks in the league. They're running two tight end sets. I mean, if the Packers are running a similar offense, they just happen to have Aaron Rodgers, so they can go gun more and put the. You heard Chris Collinsworth talk about it last night. They're basically giving Rodgers 2 plays on every snap and letting him call it at the line of scrimmage, whether it's the run or the pass. It'd be great to be in that situation, but right now the Bears aren't that, and so. I'm all about them condensing these formations, and I think that they got to keep relying on that. It's going to help Fields, and it's like when they go away from that, that's when he seems to struggle.
Exactly, and you look at Green Bay. Most of the time they're running behind who? Mercedes Lewis, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a big thing to have a great blocking tight end, a great fullback, things of that nature. But as a former player, I like the gun runs a lot better than two tight ends, a fullback, because they're going to smash you in the mouth. And those are the toughest games because you got to bring your lunch pail, like Greg said.
You're saying as a defensive player. When they line up with a gun, with the gun, you're going, okay, thank God, because when they start to bring,
because it's easier to decipher run or pass based on the O-line, their stance. That gives it away a lot of times. If the back is a little behind the quarterback, you know it's a run then. So, out of under center, in the traditional I formation, you know they're running it, and then on the play action, that's the hardest to get home, right? Because you have a tight end stay in, a tackle helping them, and then all of a sudden, this talented pass rush, it's tough to get home, running out of the I formation.
One name we haven't talked about either last night or today so far, I'm going to bring up here in a second, because the one thing about last night that I'm a little worried about big picture is that I feel like a lot of our offseason concerns were maybe realized. So a little tease for you there. But first, this football season, PointsBet is bringing you a better way to bet live on games, which means before this ad is over, you can place a live same-game parlay, bet on the next drive to be a touchdown, and cash out on your live second-half over bet. With PointsBet, you have access to more live football markets than ever before. Build the perfect live same-game parlay by combining your favorite bets anytime during the game, including spreads, totals, player props, and more. Choose the outcome of the next drive and next points with PointsBet Lightning Bets. So whether you are on the move or on the couch, do it live on PointsBet. Download the PointsBet app today. Sign up with code CHGO to get your first 2 bets risk-free up to $2,000. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER for crisis counseling and referral services.
And let's see you out there on Sunday at our tailgate. And listen, after the tailgate, you go right to see the Bears beat Lovey and the Texans. And how do you do that? You do it with Game Time tickets. Download their app, get involved. And right now, the cheapest seat for the Bears and the Texans. We got a nice little. Actually, I like their best deal right now, which is a little end zone seat, lower level. $219, which is, hey, Bears ticket prices are never cheap, but this is a great seat to enjoy. That's my best deal, but you can get in for about $170. Game Time, the hottest new ticketing site, easier than ever. Best deals on tickets to sports, concerts, shows, wherever you want to go. Use that link right there for you. And if you want to help us out, that's an amazing way to do it. The best way to sports is buying your tickets through the link in the description down there. Look, it is a great way to get yourself into Soldier Field, or there are steals, as you would imagine. But huge games right now at Guaranteed Rate Field. Guardians and White Sox starting tomorrow. I'm going to go out there on Thursday. No, I will not. I'll be doing the show here. So I won't be going to any of those games this week. That's unfortunate for me.
I'm not even going to watch them.
You go after.
I could go after.
I spend $1 on Game Time, and
I could spend $1 on Game Time and show up in the 5th for the sweep on Thursday night. Not a bad idea, Lawrence.
I need you to go for me. Get on the Game Time app. Go for me. I can't deal with the pain. I don't want to be hurt.
See that's
you got to be like Cody on our Cubs. He says I'm ready to be hurt again every day. That's his motto.
I'm not ready.
Anybody got a problem with Hoge's comment here that he can't handle the pain? Come on, man. You are a strong, sturdy Chicago sports media professional fan. You can handle this.
Not this season.
We've been able to handle the Packers destroying the Bears for a long time. So you can handle this.
This is a different level. What the White Sox have put me through this year.
If we do go back in time, the dude got a collapsed lung in 2005 from the team and when he was a student at Wisconsin. So
that's actually true.
Maybe you're not strong enough to handle this.
They almost blew
all the jump arounds. I don't know.
They almost blew it in September, and I had a punctured lung from a cyst that apparently ruptured because of stress. That's a true story.
I know.
Oh.
Yeah. But speaking of jump around, you better believe I was in the student section that week still when Wisconsin beat Michigan. John Stocco quarterback draw.
John Stocco, I remember that. That was my freshman year. Yeah, John Stocco. Yep.
Chad Henne was the quarterback for Michigan.
Yep.
It was a night game. Doctor was like, that was actually the day I got the X-ray that confirmed it. Doctor was like, you better not go to the game tonight. I was like, okay, doc. I was a stupid college kid. Of course I went to the game.
Hey, he survived, and he's here today, baby.
Yeah, let's go.
We need a sounder for too much Badger talk. By the way, Ozzie Guillen pulled you out of that tumble in September. Bring him back, Ozzie.
I love Ozzie. Or AJ Perzinski. I'm all for it.
Ozzie.
All right.
Yeah.
Back to the Bears.
What's your tease? I have no idea what you're talking about.
Ryan Poles. I think he's done a lot of good things. I think he's got the right approach to how they're rebuilding this. But if you look at last night's game, okay, a lot of their deficiencies that we've talked about were a problem last night. Whether it's not having enough weapons for Justin Fields to get the ball to, whether it's nickel corner because they're playing Kyler Gordon there. And honestly, he looks that's a tough position to play, and he doesn't look experienced enough right now to be playing there, and he's learning on the fly. And I wonder if they're thinking, man, maybe we should move him to the outside. Yeah. But who else are you going to put there? They don't have another nickel.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And then they seem like they're short at tackle.
Yeah.
You know, I actually kind of like Larry Borum, but he didn't play well last night.
Yeah.
It's all these positions that we talked about all offseason, and last night I really felt like they were exposed.
Yeah, I feel like in particular at the wide receiver position, a lot of people kind of hoped the Bears would address that. I know obviously Velus Jones, but he's fairly unproven, to be honest. He had one pretty decent season in college. I know a lot of people were hoping for like George Pickens, a guy that was first-round talent. And I thought at number 2, in the second round, he was there. He was available. Like, he's a guy that, maybe they should have pulled the trigger on, but shoulda, woulda, coulda. But, we know now that we're having trouble without the weapons, right? Darnell Mooney, I mean, what does he have? 2 catches for 4 yards in 2 games, right? And this is a guy that had over 1,000 last year with how terrible the offense was. And we kind of thought, hey, he's going to be that breakout guy, be the new generation of young receivers, and we just haven't seen any of that. I know it's only been, 28 pass attempts, but still, only 2 catches,
for 4 yards.
You should have half of those.
Yeah, I mean,
he's been targeted 5 times.
Other superstars find a way to fight through that.
They do.
And make plays. And if you're Luke Getsy, you got to find a way to give him the ball.
Yeah,
right?
and even the one catch that he had last night for -4 yards, it was a terrible throw from 3 feet away.
I agree. And Cole Kmet couldn't block the DB on the play,
Yep.
and then Cole's dropping a pass later on. So, a lot of that's just on him. But you're right. That's what I call a heavy ball, when the ball just sinks.
Yep.
That's a short, even if you're counting horizontally, like a 8-yard pass he's throwing, and it just went shoo, right to the ground. And Darnell he actually would have been better off if he didn't catch it.
Right. Thank you for my one catch where I'm going to now have -4 yards, which will take me down to 4 yards on the season. To our fine sponsor, PointsBet. Until further notice, you might as well bet the under on Fields on everything until we see it.
I was looking at that yesterday, and the over-under on his passing yards was 178 or something. And I'm like, come on, this is the NFL. You should be able to get to 178.
Exactly.
He didn't get to 78.
I said this from the beginning of the season. I said he's not going to light it up, but I was hoping for 190 to 240 a game, right?
Yeah.
1 touchdown, 2 touchdowns, making good decisions, maybe run one in. But it's just been awful thus far. And I thought they would take the next step, and I don't know, maybe we thought this offense would progress further along than maybe it's in reality how it is. So I don't know. We really need to get things going, but obviously the defense has to help them out. Time of possession killed that game. You can't stop the run. You're not going to be able to have, 41 plays? So you got to stop the run to give your offense back the ball. But Luke Getsy, if he stuck with the plan of how they were starting, I believe that passing game would have opened up, because naturally that happens, right? When you're able to run the game ball, then all of a sudden everybody's eyes are in the backfield. Then you're able to take shots to Mooney and company, but we didn't stick with that running game like that. Yeah, Montgomery was effective, but it wasn't the same type of running game.
We mentioned, Dominic, what you said on the postgame show last night, it's spot on. Mooney got off last year because A-Rob commanded attention, and A-Rob had a bad year, but it was someone you had to pay attention to. And I don't think any of us want to be freaking out about any of the Bears' offense, but it's so stunningly deficient right now that it's got to be called out, addressed, looked at, worried, concerned, all that stuff. there's no doubt that there are some real conversations going on in Hallis Hall today, tomorrow, this week. How are we moving forward? What are we going to do to fix an offense that's doing nothing, really?
Yeah, St. Brown is our best receiver right now, right? And he's a number 3, to be honest with you. I think he has good value there, but he's not a number 1 receiver. He's not even a number 2.
Yeah.
So we need to get Mooney going. We need to get Cole Kmet going. Just because off of last year you thought how much Cole Kmet got better, right? He had over 500 yards receiving. You're like, okay, he's going to take the next step, maybe be in that 700 to 800 range, especially in the red zone. We just haven't seen any of that.
I would love to hear what's going through his head right now. He's got to be super beyond frustrated.
Well, I think in week 1, he could probably look at that game and be like, okay, they schemed him out of the passing game a little bit. They win the game, and he played well from a blocking standpoint. I really do think so. So I think Cole Kmet's fine after that first game. But now it's, okay, now 2 games.
Yep.
Don't have a catch. You didn't block well last night.
Drop the ball.
Drop the ball.
An easy ball.
That's one that it's
Forgot to push Fields into the end zone.
Yeah, and then you're pulling
I don't know what
the
that
guy.
was.
I didn't understand that.
He certainly didn't push.
Football 101, man. You push on his back, you get him in the end zone.
Again,
Whoever Matt
down on the
Nagy,
field.
whoever Matt Nagy is in the chat, you're a funny man. You are. You've been doing a great job all day. Just know that you're bringing a smile to my face. With the last one, I feel so vindicated. Yeah. Well, I don't know about any Nagy vindication, for the record. And by the way, I should not have mentioned you because we don't want to talk about you, but I did because you're doing a good job.
Yeah, we're supposed to have a Nagy jar. You have to put money in there every time you say his name.
Yeah, now let's get that going because I don't want to ever do that again.
So to you guys, isn't the most disappointing thing about yesterday's game is just the defense to me, right? Like defensive identity, defensive coach. We're gonna, hits principles. We're gonna run to the football. We're gonna stop the run. Where was that last night, right?
Yeah.
You know, if they knocked out that run game, it would have made things harder for Rodgers, right? He still would have made his plays, but when you were able to keep him in the pocket and you look at the times they had the 3 sacks, right? It was off of stopping the run and then being able to get him to the 3rd and long situations, and you contained him in the pocket. So I'm most disappointed with the defense, right? Because that was supposed to be the identity of this team. This is what's supposed to be, helping Justin Fields and company, is to be able to get off the field, get some takeaways, and yeah, they just could not stop the run, and that's 2 weeks now, giving up a lot of yards per carry.
I think that's why I was so hard on Roquan to start the show.
Yeah,
he can't play that poorly.
No.
They can't afford that. He has to play better.
Spoken like a true defensive lineman over here. I'm not even right now, this moment in this seat, I'm not even thinking about the defense.
Yeah, but that's the one thing that I think going into last night.
Stability, right?
Yeah, you're thinking, okay, defensively, they should be able to keep this game.
Yeah.
Yes, but I don't find any of it surprising as far as I did not understand why there wasn't more concern. Like, how are you, with this defensive line, how are you going to stop any team that is talented as far as up front and can run the football? And the Packers were missing Bakhtiari last night. It looked like they had 5 All-Pros up there.
Yeah, it was disheartening. Like, because when you look at this game, right, you would think Aaron Rodgers would beat you, if anything, right? That's what I said before the game. Like, Aaron Rodgers is going to beat them, right? Like, they're going to stop the run. Yeah. Like, this is going to be a disciplined team. Last week with the 49ers, right, they were just getting the adjustments. Everything was live. And then they just could not stop the run. Like, literally, did you think that was going to happen?
Not to that extent.
I didn't think. I thought they would try to get the run game going, but I didn't think, Aaron Jones almost 9 yards a pop. Come on, like that's.
And here's the thing: I'm not necessarily sitting here blaming the D line either. Like, I think the biggest problem was what we were talking about post game last night. What you were talking about in game is just like they couldn't set the edge on the runs. Mm-hmm. They had the linebackers flowing too far inside, whether it was Roquan Smith, and then they just kept running at Kyler Gordon. Yeah. And poor Kyler Gordon, like he had a couple times where like he literally couldn't see. I think through the traffic, through the lineman in front of him, and didn't realize that they were bouncing out to the outside, and he lost contain. And then it seemed like every play action, his feet were moving up towards the line of scrimmage, over and over and over again.
You saw a couple plays where he was the free hitter, right? Usually there's a free hitter on the defense, right? And he's coming free off the edge, and all he has to do is shoot at that outside leg of Aaron Jones or Dillon, and he completely whiffed and just kind of went to the ground. And I'm like, man, really? Like the effort on that on some of those plays, I'm like, you have to stick your face in there. You got to wrap up the outside leg, force them inside, and they weren't able to do that all day. And if you can't set the edge of a defense, you're never going to be able to stop the run. And I thought the defensive line was okay for the most part, but guys were getting reached up front, right? And there's two ways to play the run, right? That you can play it by penetration, right? You can get reached, but as long as you penetrate and cause disruption, it negates that, right? Or you have to play gap discipline, and they weren't doing either of that at times. So it's tough. A lot of it was on the edge defender, but up front they have to get more penetration and be able to get off blocks.
I mean, I'm going back to the offseason, and there's a reason why they went out and tried to give Larry Ogunjobi $26 million. They knew they needed help up front, and they were willing to pay for it to try to your point, stabilize.
I thought Justin Jones played well, though.
Yeah, Justin Jones had a good game. Yeah,
he was 50 to 90% better than he was in game one.
Yeah.
I'm jumping ahead, but they are going to have to spend some money on the defense in the offseason in addition to finding some playmakers. I mean, it can't just be one side of the ball.
Let's also let's not dismiss the possibility of coaching. Players do get better, especially young players. And I think it's a big week for Kyler Gordon. I think it's a big week for that defensive coaching staff.
Agreed.
Working with him. You got to fix the awareness a little bit. You got to look at the film and understand, okay, when you were jumping in here instead of, reading your key properly and you kept biting on the play action, what were you looking at? What should you have been looking at instead? How do you get this fixed? And that's a question I have for you, Woot, is because I remember, I think especially after Lovie Smith left and we got into the Mark Trestman era, I specifically remember like a lot of weekdays where the defense started to get leaky, right? Especially at the run. I remember a lot of conversation with linebackers specifically about guys being out of their gap.
Yeah.
Like, how do you fix that during the week when that starts to become a problem?
Yeah, it's tough because I went through that 2012 when we had Lovey and Rob Marinelli. We were one of the top defenses in the league. And then next year, Trestman comes in, and we basically have the same defense with the exception of Brian Urlacher, and we're dead last, right? The thing is, like, everyone was out of their gaps all the time, and we would try to correct it. But I think the thing is, sometimes the coaching staff, like, stuff starts to creep in, right? With the new staff, we weren't scooping and scoring. We weren't running to the football as much. Our effort wasn't. And that's what's very surprising about seeing yesterday, right? The lack of gap discipline, loafs at times, because that's a big thing they've been stressing. I'm hoping it was just a one-game occurrence because, those guys are going to get chewed out all day. Everything when you lose is magnified, right? Yeah. So they're going to be looking at all the loafs, and they're going to stress that this week. So they're going to be running after the football. But the biggest thing you have to do is, right, everybody has a gap, everybody has assignment. So they need to get back to the fundamentals, right? Whenever you have a bad performance and it's little things like that, you have to get back to the fundamentals. So all week they're going to be working on gap drills. Okay, you have this gap, you have this gap. Let's not get out of gap. Because sometimes people were trying to make plays. And then also in the passing game, when we were rushing against them, remember I said everybody has to work together. And they weren't on the same page, right? Al-Qadim Muhammad makes an inside move. No one's covering. What does Aaron Rodgers do? Go to the side, completes a bomb, right? So stuff like that. Justin Jones at one time, he tries to make an inside move, and then all of a sudden, the B gap, Aaron Rodgers comes up through there, completes a 25-yard pass. So stuff like that, you have to work together. And the more they work together, they're going to be able to come home and have more sacks in there.
I think what you're underlining, and you're saying the same thing, Adam, is this is a big week for the hits principle. This is a big week for coaching. This is a big week for guys to digest what happened and where they can immediately be better. That doesn't really take a huge off-season, get in the weight room overhaul, but rather, okay, I got to fix my eyes. Yeah. I got to understand better what offenses are trying to do. And I think you're saying that it should be doable.
It's correctable. I mean, honestly, you look at Roquan, right? He just was playing slow, right? He was probably thinking too much about the new position. And then you look at Kyler Gordon, the same thing. He has a key. He wasn't looking at his key. And that could be evident with all the guys on the field at times, right? you have to keep your eyes on your key. That's all correctable. That's the great part about it. You know, there was times that Roquan was making contact with the offensive lineman at 7 yards past the line of scrimmage, which he never does inside, right? And that tells you everything you need to know. His eyes weren't on his key. He was thinking too much. Kyler Gordon's the same way. I was watching it back, and I'm like, all of a sudden he's looking in the backfield, right? Eddie Jackson on that bomb to Sammy Watkins, right, where we thought it initially was Gordon. That was Eddie Jackson.
That was Eddie Jackson.
Right? What does he do? He takes 3 steps up and then, oh, shoot, and then he gets beat deep. So that wasn't Kyler Gordon's fault. And Eddie Jackson is a good player, right? Some people are saying, is he back, is he not? I think he's still a good player. But something like that, at his stage in the game, he shouldn't have plays like that where his eyes are in the backfield.
That was the weirdest thing that Flus said, by the way. Did Eddie Jackson tackle well last night on your rewatch?
Actually, he did have a couple nice plays near the line of scrimmage where he came up and was a little bit more physical than I've seen him lately.
Okay.
But he tries to shoulder tackle too much, and that's a classic example.
See,
listen, you're not Brian Dawkins, right? Like that's a different animal. Some of those guys, back in the day could give you a shoulder and knock you down. These backs nowadays are strong and big. Like, you have to wrap up, Dillon and Jones. You see how big those guys are.
And Jalen Johnson had a play like that, too, on the sideline.
Yep.
Where second week in a row, he didn't wrap up.
He's not. Neither of those guys are.
Did I say Jalen Johnson is what I meant to say?
That's what you said.
Oh, I said, okay.
Yeah.
I thought I said Jalen Jones.
No,
different player.
At least that's not what I heard. But you got it. I was surprised to read this morning that Flus was happy with Eddie, and I admittedly am one and a third quarters through my rewatch on it. But
Are you talking about Fatal Attraction of the game?
Great line, Lawrence. Maybe we'll go the rest of Fatal Attraction later today.
Let me be clear. Eddie Jackson graded out fine.
Yeah.
He wasn't.
Flus underlined it like he was great. I'm like, hold on.
I think that play where he got
tackle.
beat over the top, that's what bothers me the most, because he's a veteran guy here. He should never have his eyes in the backfield like that. Like, Aaron Rodgers is going to work that play action. Let the play develop. Look at your keys, and then react to the run.
Let me
Especially because you should realize at that point that Kyler Gordon's been biting on everything.
Exactly.
You got to help
you
out
need
your
help.
rookie.
You need help. And I'm sure they were stressing that to him, Williams and company. Like, you got to help him over the top, because he's the weak link. Guys are going to go after him, right? They're not going against Jalen Johnson. They want Kyler Gordon. And I think every week we're going to see them go at him. So we're going to see how they adjust with that.
Yeah, this was the quote from Flus as far as where they could be better. I would say the tackling, we have to do a better job. Look at the individual and the technique and break down those ones they did tackle well and those they didn't do well. Leverage, angles, tackling. We call it cupping the ball. We have to do a better job at that. It limits the big plays. You look at Eddie Jackson, he tackled very well. I don't think he missed one. But if you look at some of the younger guys, they maybe did. They missed a couple. So, I'm reading something. Wait a second. You're calling out the young dudes, which is interesting. Okay, that's fine. Hits principle. Not going to mince words. But you really are you're giving Eddie a whole lot of love here, and I'm thinking shoulder tackle left and right.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing. The couple shoulder tackles and just getting beat over the top. Because a veteran guy, like, I can understand Kyler Gordon, right? It's second game NFL career, but he's got to fix that too, because, like I said, teams are going to go after him, and if he does that against the Vikings and Justin Jefferson, I know Jalen Johnson's probably going to be on him most of the time, but you cannot keep your eyes in the backfield on situations like that.
Well, we all know that's on tape now.
Exactly.
Everyone.
That was Rodgers' plan this week. They were going to attack him, and they executed. They got the run game going, run the play action off it. So hats off to them. They had a good script.
I got one missed tackle for Eddie Jackson here.
There we go.
13-minute mark of the third quarter. He kind of gets enough of them, but that's a missed tackle for me.
But I thought Brisker's looked pretty well in these first two games.
Yeah, and
he's looked solid. Yeah,
I'll give you one example. The one play we talked about last night where Kyler Gordon lined up way too far inside, didn't have containing he was supposed to. The very next snap, Brisker played it how you're supposed to. He got really wide, forced the run back inside, and his teammates then came in and made the play because he set the edge.
Exactly.
So to me, through two games, and Brisker's game wasn't perfect last night either by any means, and I think he had a couple of missed tackles. But he looks like the more sound,
confident,
secure, confident rookie out of those two DBs they drafted in the second round.
Yeah, I like what I've seen. He seems like he has a lot of leadership out there. You see when some of the checks are going in, he's communicating. So I think they got a good pick in him. It just comes back to get to the keys. And defensive line, what I saw, the linebackers and defensive line, right, the front seven, you have to be able to get off blocks. I said that last night, the shock and lock, right? Get the separation and shed your block. We saw too many guys getting stuck on blocks, as they used to preach to us all the time. Hey, just doing your job, being in your gap, that's not enough, right? You got to be able to play your gap, shed off, and make a play, right? If everyone's just doing their job, stuff's going to break down from time to time, right? You have to make a play yourself. So I saw too many people getting stuck on blocks.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was an issue throughout the game. All right.
Hey, Kyler Gordon, we believe in you, but step it up. Let's go.
That's what I was going to say. Actually, I think it can be fixed. When you play young players like this, you know there's going to be growing pains. Even when you move a guy like Roquan Smith to a new position, there's going to be a couple growing pains. I don't think you wanted it to be that bad in either case. Yeah. I don't think you're thinking Kyler Gordon's going to look that out of place. I don't think you're thinking Roquan Smith is going to look that out of place, especially on that one. But it can be fixed.
Yeah.
That's why I go back to big week for the coaches, big week for those players getting coached up. Figure it out now so it doesn't become a bigger issue.
Yeah.
The two hardest positions as rookies to come in and play, cornerback, left tackle, right, and obviously quarterback. But as far as the other positions, left tackle and cornerback, right, because you're on an island out there, both sides. So Braxton Jones, I mean, he held up pretty good last night. I mean, we could be better at times, but I thought he played well enough for us to win.
Yeah,
you know,
I'm gonna do a solid rewatch of Braxton, see where he's at, in my expert opinion over here, Corey. But we don't hear. No one's complaining about him.
No,
so that's
my initial.
I thought he's done a good job through 2 weeks. Like obviously, you know, the sack he gave up to Bosa, that's tough in week 1. But he was on an island out there. I mean, Bosa makes the best out of everybody, even the best tackles in the game.
And it was only one.
Yeah, exactly.
Need to tell you about 5 Iron Golf, the nation's leading indoor golf and entertainment experience, which now has 3 locations in Chicago, River North, The Loop, and Lincoln Park. 5 Iron features the good vibes of golf, neon lights, and street art centered around those great TrackMan simulators. I know Corey knows what we're talking about here. World-class instruction, custom club fitting, and a full bar and restaurant, making it a one-of-a-kind experience for golfers and non-golfers alike. You can play around, you can take a lesson, join a league, or spice up your next date night. Go to 5irongolf.com. That's 5irongolf.com to check it out. Fall leagues are kicking off right now. Listeners can get 30% off their registration fees with promo code CHGO30 at 5irongolf.com/leagues. You can join as a team or a free agent. Again, 30% off your registration fees with promo code CHGO30 at 5irongolf.com/leagues.
And when you're done golfing, you just segue right on over. You get your Chi-Town cornhole going. Chi-Town Custom Cornhole, the #1 cornhole provider for Chicagoland, Illinois. Dating back all the way to 2007.
See them in person, by the way, if you come to the tailgate.
See them in person at the tailgate. Lawrence wants to compete against you, don't you?
I'm too tired to bring one over on sets.
No, we don't need you to bring anything over.
Go against Carm. He doesn't even have his release figured out. He doesn't know if he's done it.
What did you just do?
I did this.
See, he's got like a reverse knuckleball or something.
You
can't play bags like that, man. Cornhole, you can't play bags like that.
Let me see your form.
You go like this, man. You go underhand, right there. All about the touch, baby.
No, I think you gotta. I think you gotta dangle the bag. And
it's gotta land flat, man. If you get the rollover, you got no chance.
Pause, Carmen. Too much coffee, man.
Hey, I could probably work on how I describe that in the future. Signature box style design can be digitally printed. It's sweet. It's covered in vinyl, painted. Our cornhole boards, built-in drink holders. That's sweet. You've got the recessed lighting. This is a first-class operation. I mean, you want to impress your friends. Seriously, get involved with Chi-Town Cornhole. Your game will be sweet. Your friends are going to love you. Veteran-owned and operated. They can ship them anywhere. There's also local pickups. specializing in corporate designs for companies' next marketing or social event. Wedding gifts, that's a sweet idea. Gifts for all occasions, especially, again, for the tailgaters, backyard barbecues, Chi-Town Cornhole.
He said, what are we dangling,
What
Carm?
are we dangling?
Hey, Phil, philosophy. We're dangling something. I don't know what I said. I believe.
I don't know what you said.
Yeah.
Watching,
Actually, I do know what I said.
Carm,
but
you're better than that, man.
I don't know if I am.
watching too much Fatal Attraction last
Yeah.
night. What's going on
Too
there?
much dangling.
All right, we need Nick to save us. I think we got Nicholas Moriano jumping on with us right now. What's up, Nick? You made it home okay?
I made it to my parents' house. I didn't quite make it all the way to Arlington Heights, but I was just listening. Yeah, what's going on there with the dangling? But the form, I'm definitely going with Corey. Underhand, you got to have a little spin to it too. What I've seen for the best, the people that can do it really well. But you guys were talking about Kahari blasting game. Adam, I got the stats. You're not going to like this at all, you guys. I promise you, Bears fans are going to lose their minds. So the last 3 plays of that first drive, Kahari blasting games on that drive, the Bears gained 13 yards with Montgomery, 9 yards and a 3-yard touchdown pass. Then you don't see blasting game until 6 minutes and 40 seconds left in the third quarter. When he was out there, the Bears were plus 110 in yards. So when Kahari blasting game was on the field, 110 yards, you had gains of 28, 27, 14, 11, 13, 9, 3, 6, 6, 4. So it just didn't make sense. It worked on the first drive, and then you don't see him until 6 minutes and 40 seconds left in the third quarter. Makes no sense, you guys. But I heard you talking about it. I had to go look at it before I jumped on. But, hey, look, if that's how the Bears are going to move the ball to fullback, that's what they're going to have to do. I know it's a passing league, but when he was on there, they were moving the ball, and they went right away from it.
And
13 snaps. That's all he had.
Yeah.
13 offensive snaps.
And Nick, I was talking about as a defender, you hated going against a fullback, 2 tight ends. I mean, you knew it was going to be smash mouth football. Do you think Getsy tried to get too cute? He's in Green Bay. He wants to win the game, show that he's this great play caller. Do you think he was trying to get too cute?
It seemed like that, you guys, because why go away from it on the very first drive when you get your touchdown, it looks good, the play calling was good. Then ever since then, you go 3 consecutive 3-and-outs. Every first down of those series, you pick up no yards on first down. And then obviously we can all talk about the 4th down, run at the goal line being from the shotgun. It just seemed like Getsy outthought himself when it's like, hey, just put the fullback out there. It was working. And obviously they got to that too late in the game at that point. But yeah, to me, Corey, it did seem like that. And, Luke Getsy seems like obviously a very smart guy, very detailed in what he wants to do. But I think just coming back to Green Bay, wanting to maybe prove something to his former team, there was a disconnect there when clearly having Kahari blasting game was working for the Bears.
Listening to Carm too much. That's what Getsy's doing.
Too much dangling, bro.
That's
Carm just wants Fields to be airing it out the whole game.
Yeah.
Got to figure out if he can play.
And I do, and that's probably a terrible philosophy as far as winning games right now. And I'm thinking of back to a chat last night. Someone's like, if they had done that, just aired it out, they probably would have lost 52-7, and maybe they would have. Maybe they absolutely would have. I wouldn't disagree with that. But I'm looking at the mountaintop. How the hell are we going to get there? We got the quarterback.
Brick by brick is what Braggs would tell you.
Well, right. And so
You can't just jump to the top.
Well,
You can't just get there on a helicopter, Carm.
You got to go to work.
Well, I'm sitting here on the show today having a whole metamorphosis, if you will. Like, look, if you're the coach and the team, this is the talent you have. Your job's to win games. So let's try and do that. And the best way the Bears are going to do it this year is putting the ball on the ground. That sucks, but that's probably the best pathway. And then maybe you just try
But it's not if you can do that and then capitalize with Fields, even if he's 11 passing attempts isn't enough. But if it's like 18
to 20, somewhere
and
around
he
there.
plays well with that limited sample size off of play action, and it's just like you're taking a small step every week, you can live with that. What we saw last night wasn't enough.
You're on a Ravens like path then though. Like which was sweet.
I would be the Ravens.
No, but
Yeah, exactly. Which is like, okay, now you're Baltimore. Which is, by the way, I mean, Lamar's winning MVPs, and they're
They
winning
have 2 Super Bowls.
and they're winning a lot of games. But it's also the team. They're like, okay, well, when they're down, they got no shot, and da 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 da. But it'd be a lot better than where the Bears have been at.
But I think it's a lot like Cam Newton early in his career, right? 190 to 230 yards passing. He had 2 great running backs in there. It kind of took the pressure off him and allowed him to open up the passing game. And I don't think this growth is having him throw the ball 30, 40 times. Like you said, 18 to 22, somewhere around there. Be efficient with the run, work the play action. Just get him confidence in there. And then we can start to open up stuff. And that's what they did early on with Cam Newton, right? And then people were saying, well, he's not that good. Look at his stats. And then all of a sudden he was MVP a couple years later. So it's progress, right? Rome wasn't built overnight, just like Justin Fields, being a great player. So it's small steps. Last night we went backwards, in my opinion, offensively. So we really have to – this is going to test Luke Getsy this week against a talented Houston defense, in my opinion.
Nick, not to put you on the spot here, but what are you going to be asking Flus there? What do you think he's going to be addressing? Because he's speaking today, 240?
Yeah, 240. I think, guys, when I look back at the defense, it seemed like, the Packers are stretching them horizontally. And Roquan Smith said at the beginning of this week, prior to this Packers game, they wanted to test the speed of this Bears defense. Well, it got tested and it didn't hold up to what the Packers were doing getting to the edge. So just kind of talking, maybe asking questions about like the overall effort, see if it was there. Like you guys brought the loaf segment. I wonder, like, after this game, what's that going to look like in terms of the overall defense? But also, yep, there's the bread right there. I think, too, again, like, why the offensive philosophy changed. It seemed like it changed so much from that first drive. What was having success? And obviously, Luke Getsy on Thursday would be able to provide a better answer, I think, to that. But just kind of getting the answer to the whys, you guys. Doesn't that sound a little familiar?
Oof.
Oh boy, that's definitely $20 into the swear jar. Willie Beeman called him Sloquan Smith. I'm sorry, that's kind of funny.
He did look pretty slow last night. So Nick, what was the most disappointing part of the game for you? Watching it over.
Oh man. Yeah, I think, Corey, for me, it's when you go that 3 consecutive 3-and-outs. And actually, after the first one, after that touchdown, the Bears defense forces their own 3-and-out. And then you're in that cycle of like, man, this is really reminiscent of, last year of Nagy, where the offense can't do anything. And you're playing against the Green Bay Packers. Like, if you're just throwing away drives, you know how that's going to end. So seeing that happen, and, after that first defensive series from the Bears, you're like, can the offense do anything? No, on first down, there's a sack, there's a penalty. Justin Fields throwing the ball over the line of scrimmage. So just these little self-inflicted mistakes, going back and rewatching it just through the tape here, it just reminds you of how much more this Bears team needs to do if they actually want to, make progress. And we all know this is not the season for them to compete, but last night kind of showed where the Packers are at and where the Bears really stand in this division.
I got one more for you. So I was watching Kyle Brandt from Good Morning Football. He posted a clip talking about the Bears-Packers rivalry, and he said it isn't a rivalry. He said, Aaron Rodgers has beat the Bears 24 times now, only 5 losses. So what do you feel about that, him saying it's not a rivalry because it's not competitive enough?
Honestly, I felt like that for a while now. Like, throughout my lifetime, that's all I've known is the Packers usually beating the Bears, unfortunately. So it's like, yes, we get riled up for these games, but I always knew, like, we all know how this is going to end. Even though I picked the Bears to win this one, it was like I knew that could be a realistic outcome. But, because we're talking about this rivalry, this is going, I don't know, I think Bears fans are putting everything through a microscope right now and being, obviously riled up after a loss to the Packers. Justin Fields was asked about it. I don't know if you guys talked about this on losing, if this game hurts more. And Justin said, yeah, it hurts more in the locker room than the Bears fans. At the end of the day, they aren't putting in any work. I see the guys in the locker room every day. I see how much work they put in. Coming out of a disappointing loss like this, it hurts. We just have to respond. I think Bears fans are taking that completely the wrong way. Like, hey, are you taking a shot at us because, we're not, again, he said, you don't put any work into this. This is what, the players are doing a lot of the work, putting the sweat and everything, the effort that it takes to put the product out there. But that's kind of circulating through Bears Twitter if you scroll in the weeds there, you guys. So I don't know what you thought about that, or if again, Bears fans are just getting a little too emotional over it.
I hadn't seen that yet, to be honest, Nick. Not the strategy I would take, though. It's just a lose-lose approach.
Especially when you're not playing well as well. Like, the team's not going to be on your side now. The thing is, you just have to take accountability. We didn't execute, and ultimately we play the game and we get paid a lot of money, as players because of the fans, right? So you have to remember that always, whether they love you, whether they hate you, you get paid the amount of money you do, and you get all the exposure because of the fans. So you always got to keep that in mind. I think it was a little frustration probably from Fields, him not performing like he would want to. And sometimes, when guys get frustrated, they just start saying stuff. And then all of a sudden they say, oh, shoot, what did I just say? And I think he's probably realizing that, like, oh, I said something that people are going to take the wrong way.
And no one's saying that Justin Fields doesn't care. I'm not hearing that from anywhere in Bears Twitter land.
No.
I am
he
here.
Definitely cares.
Right. We buy into one's dedication 100%. I don't think anybody, right? However,
yeah, but so did Mitch was the same way. Mitch put a ton of work in.
Yeah.
No one ever questioned his work ethic.
I kind of questioned if Mitch was the dude that showed up at Hallis Hall super early and like acted like he was working and was actually really watching Fatal Attraction. Like I
like
don't know.
You?
I just didn't think that. Well, because his ability to comprehend what was going on was so minimal. Like, you can't be working this hard behind the scenes. You are definitely sitting there on TikTok all day doing something else. You're in the building, but you're not working.
You're just talking about yourself right now.
Exactly.
Right. I see. I'm not saying that's not a gap for me.
I don't even know if they had TikTok back then.
I know.
The internet is a dangerous place, and it's right in front of you. You got to have supreme discipline. I think Fields has it. I don't know if I did question Mitch's dedication at times, even though he was in the office all the time. I just wondered what was going on. Too much Mitch on the show today.
Nick, enjoy the press conference. We'll hear your thoughts later tonight on the Bears After Dark show. Looking forward to it. Yep. What else you guys got going on tonight? You and Will, and who else is on tonight?
I forget. It'll be fun though. Obviously,
I believe
having Monday Night
Greg
Football.
Braggs Jr.
Oh yeah, Bragg's on tonight too.
It'll be
brick by brick, baby.
Yeah.
I see you, Braggs.
We love you, Braggs. You too, Nick. You too, Will.
Yeah.
All right, Nick
Thanks,
will have
guys.
the press conference coverage. Make sure you follow him on Twitter at Nicholas Moriano. Coverage at allchgo.com. Before we get out of here, we got a bunch of super chats we got to fly through, and
Am I doing this?
Then we got to get into Texans week here.
What's up,
All
Daniel
right.
Trump?
Yeah, first one from Daniel. $20 super chat. Thank you, sir. The season isn't over. There's reason for hope, a strong running game, and a lot of fight on the defense. A lot of young people who can improve. Let's focus on that.
I like it. In my Monday morning show, you all got me flipped around here. Let's just try to win games. Let's run the football. Let's.
But I would argue that that's kind of the point of the rest of the season, is to see individual improvement. And I would disagree with you that it's all about Justin Fields. Like, a lot of it is about Justin Fields. But Kyler Gordon better be a good player when it's all said and done. Kyler Gordon, what we saw last night better be the worst game we ever see him play.
That's what I hope.
And I think he will get better. I think he's good enough to improve. Roquan Smith, I've never seen him play that poorly. I hope I never see him play that poorly ever again. It is a new scheme. There are guys playing new spots. Get better, and I think they can.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think this season, right, is about Justin Fields' improvement. Maybe not him being an elite quarterback in this league, but we need to see improvement, right? And how do we do that? With the running game. So we have a good running game. Let's take advantage of that. We looked at the stats when Blazing Game was in there. The tight ends were in there. They were running the ball effectively. Then the pass was set up. So if we can continue with that, and then defensively, it's about stopping the run. If we're able to stop the run, it's a different ball game in there. So that's the key thing. That's something that we thought from the beginning. So that has to improve if the Bears are going to have any shot at winning games this season, you got to stop the run.
I'm in a pivot to it is about Fields, but it's all about how do the Bears win games with Justin Fields. So I'm down. I'm getting on board with we don't need 40 throws, 20, 25, creativity, playing to their strengths. I'm down. And by the way, the more Blasingame is in there, the better off for all of us. That dude is so entertaining. He is. We need him in front of the microphone.
I think real quick, people need to remember Josh Allen early on in his career, right? There's a lot of people that didn't believe in him, right? He made questionable decisions, didn't seem that confident, was trying to fit throws in tight windows, making some turnovers. Look poor at times. Yep. Look at him now. He's arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the game right now.
And another comp that may or may not mean something, but they talked about Josh Allen the same way you hear about Justin Fields behind the scenes. Exactly. How much they believe in him, how special they think he can be. Yep. It just needs to click. Unfortunately, we're programmed here in Chicago to just be like, well, it's not going to click. Because it never has. And I get it. It's very frustrating. And every game that passes, what I was talking about last night, every game that goes by where it's just like, well, what the hell are we supposed to make of that?
Fields does not have the skill set, though, of Josh Allen.
Well, nobody does. I mean,
right.
He has a lot of similarities in that he can move. He's not quite as big, but who is? I mean, very few quarterbacks are built that way. And obviously, Josh Allen has a cannon that's at a different level. Right. I mean, but Fields is pretty damn good in all the same areas.
Like I think you're forgetting how people view Josh Allen early in his career. Like people really didn't have faith in him. A lot of Bills fans are like, oh, this guy. I mean, he struggles with throws. He's got great feet, but I really don't think he can read defenses.
Yeah.
And then Brian Dable, right, molds him into this great quarterback. So that's why it's
Which, by the way, you could have hired 2-0 Brian Dable and
that would have been nice. But now it's on Luke Getsy, right, to mold this young quarterback. I think people are saying, well, Justin Fields doesn't have it. This is more so on Luke Getsy than anyone, right? Obviously, Justin Fields has to go out there and make the plays, but Luke Getsy has to script for success for him to get him that confidence. And these next couple weeks, we're going to see what a play caller is, right? Mooney has said, oh, he's this great play caller, and, in a couple years he won't be here. You got to prove that, right? Yeah. We haven't seen anything so far.
Slow that roll.
Lawrence, go ahead.
First of all, Bears quarterbacks, I believe, are our fatal attraction. As
well played.
John threw us $5. He says, thanks for the coverage, even though through the tough losses, guys. My comment earlier about good franchises was about the fan base. Too many overreactions. So he was clearing that up. Thank you, John. And finally,
we appreciate you, John.
Yeah, Steve-O, thank you. He says, what are reasons to be optimistic for this week, I would say, against the Texans?
I'll give you one off the top. The Houston Texans have allowed 326 rushing yards in the first 2 weeks. That's what the Bears want to do. The Texans give it up. That would be one spot that would play perfectly in the Bears getting a win over Lovie and company. That's one.
I mean, they should have the quarterback advantage.
Right?
I look at this like kind of week one when Trey Lance was playing. It was like, I think the Bears quarterback's better. Like, when the game's over, we should be saying that. We were able to say that, and they won the game. It wasn't pretty, but they kind of backed that up. I would hope the same thing here, but Davis Mills is...
I mean, think about how sad that statement is. I think we might have the QB edge on Davis Mills. Not really sure, but hopefully we do. Ouch.
It comes down to the defense stopping the run. I mean, because Houston's, similar situation. Younger quarterback. They want to get him confidence. And they've seen the tape the past couple of weeks. The Bears have got gashed in the run game. So this Bears rush defense has to come to play. I think that's the only way Houston wins the game is if they get rushed to football.
And by the way,
they have a rookie, Damian Pierce, by the way, he struggled week one, then he kind of stepped it up week two. So
he's got some juice out there.
You're going to watch the tape. But just a reminder, Bears versus Lovie, 2-0. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Do it.
Yeah. All right, well, speaking of let's go eat lunch.
Yeah, I'm starving.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Can we just...
Probably need a nap at some point.
Don't eat any cheese curds, all right? I know you went to Wisconsin, man, but no cheese curds, all right?
You don't like the cheese curds?
No, man, I can't even do it during, it's too fresh. Maybe next week after this Packers losses.
We might have to boycott cheese curds for 1 week.
You going to presser today?
I think so. There's some questions that need to be answered.
Give him hell.
It's either take a nap or go to the presser.
No, give him hell first, then go take a nap.
I'm debating a drive out there right now.
We got a couple practices tonight. We got to go to. We got a Carmel football practice. Then we got the always entertaining second grade Vernon Hills.
There you go.
Cougar soccer's team where they're just kind of running around in circles for an hour.
Hey, it's always fun. They're having a good time, right?
And then before you know it, it'll be bedtime. But that's how it goes this time of year. Wouldn't have it any other way. It's football season, baby.
45-minute drive to Hallis Hall from here, buddy. You're going to make it. I might be tailing you.
Woot, it was awesome having you here yesterday.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it, man.
Here again Monday. We'll talk to you again. Next Monday, he's the best. Amazing breakdown.
Woot.
Before, during, and after the game. And then after watching the tape, really good stuff. Carm, you going to finish Fatal Attraction tonight?
Some more coffee. What was it? What was you dangling?
Yeah, where were we
bags. I was
dangling
dangling
bags.
That's what I was dangling.
We need to cut that clip and put it on the reels.
Yeah.
Dangling.
Yeah. Cut that, and also last night when we all nearly died on the set.
I was going to say, I'm just happy we're here right now and there's sun out.
Yeah.
If you missed the post-game show last night, I'm pretty sure we were all hit by lightning.
Hopefully we can get that clip when it flashed. Man, it scared the crap out of me, man.
I was like, the football player might have been the most terrified in the moment.
I really got scared, man.
Unfortunately, I think the video went black when it hit. And
just for a second, yeah.
Yeah, but unfortunately that second was when he jumped 10 feet out of his chair.
Yeah.
Man, I'll mess around with that, man.
All right, I'm going to do Blackhawks. You guys, you can keep talking, but I'm going to hit the end screen.
Okay.
Thanks, Michael, for the last super chat there. All right, have a good one, y'all. See ya.